We grow cayenne peppers. We've had two fantastic plants all summer long. They have produced great. They have done such a good job giving us a lot of peppers on each plant, and you can see they're almost spent. We have harvested several times, but we don't eat them. That's really not our speed. We're more like the banana pepper, green bell pepper speed, but these have been fantastic for a completely different reason, and I'm going to show you. Let's go inside and join Dan. So here we are. Dan is all set up for this cayenne pepper project. So like I told you out in the garden, for us, these aren't something that we eat. We don't love that amount of spice. I know a lot of people do, but for us, it is all about the medicinal qualities.
And there's a substance in peppers that makes them hot. It's called capsaicin. And the hotter the pepper, the more capsaicin it has in it. And capsaicin has a body effect to make a stimulant effect. And that has a lot of very good benefits for our body. For example, it's a metabolism booster. And so it can be used in terms of weight loss management and digestive health. I know it seems counterintuitive, but something hot like this can actually help produce digestive acids, which can help people that even have ulcer type conditions.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Exactly. And because it's a stimulant, it will constrict blood vessels. And so like in the nose and the respiratory system, it can help with congestion, which is good. And because it's a stimulant, it can help with all the heart functions in the circulatory system, which is great for those like you that get cold hands and feet. And in the winter, having a little bit of cayenne in your diet can really help with those extremities being cold.
Yes. I find knowing the history of things to be super interesting, and the uses, especially medicinally for cayenne peppers, has been known for thousands of years. They have traditionally been grown in Central and South America. And so when explorers were coming over here, that was one of the things that was discovered to be used by Native Americans. And Christopher Columbus himself, apparently, as we have read, took it back and introduced it to Europe.
Right, the New World Spice Trade, which is really famous. And of course, at that point, then the Europeans spread it throughout that entire continent into Asia, and it became a staple of traditional medicine.
So if you would like a simple way to incorporate it into your diet and make this yourself, we have a tincture we're going to show you. Dan's going to make it for you right now.
The key to preparing cayenne in any form is to make sure that you can get a large amount of that capsaicin, that compound, in your diet. Because as we've told you, we're sensitive to the heat of the hot peppers, and we wouldn't eat them just for a snack or in our food. And if you're like that and you like hot peppers, then you really can introduce them in your diet just in the raw form, and that will be fine. But if you're like us and you have that sensitivity, there are a couple of ways to be able to take care of that and to make products and compounds that are medicinal but are in smaller doses. Now, if you really, really want to have the full infusion and the smallest amount of dosage, the tincture is the way to go, because all of the cayenne goodness, all that capsaicin gets into the alcohol and infuses into that. And you only need a couple of drops at a time to get quite a bit of benefit. All right, we're going to make some tincture today. That's our preferred way of making our cayenne medicinal. You'll need to have your raw peppers, and you also need to have an 80 proof alcohol. We use a vodka that's I think 80 or 90 proof, and that will suffice for this substance today. But we're going to do one that looks like this. Basically, this was one that's in process. You want to let it sit on the shelf for about 8 weeks in a cool and dry place. You can see in this one, because the alcohol is clear, that this has become a little bit brown, a little bit darker color, because those peppers that are in there that are submerged are starting to infuse into the alcohol. So all that goodness is going in there. This is 2 weeks in, so about 6 weeks left for this one. We'll put that back on the shelf. And this is one that's already done. We poured from the mason jar and into a brown bottle to keep that safe and secure, but we do still store it in a cool and dry place and then use from that. When you use cayenne tincture, you don't need a lot of it at a time, just a couple of drops in some water. You can throw it in a smoothie, you can put it in a soup, whatever you want to put it in for a little bit more heat. And the nice thing about it is you don't have to eat a whole lot of peppers and have all that heat and the runny nose and the watery eyes. It's just a couple of drops, 4 or 5 drops at a time, because it's so concentrated. You get the goodness of that without a whole lot of the annoyance of the heat. All right, so when you do your tincture, you can take it's as easy as just taking the cayenne peppers and putting them in the container if you want, and then submerging them with the vodka. But what I like to do a little bit here is to just open these up a little bit to get some of that exposure from the inside and the outside. So I'll cut the ends off, and maybe even the little bit of the tail there. And again, you don't have to do this, but I do it. And open that up a little bit. Now, the capsaicin is found in the seeds, and so you want to keep as many of the seeds as possible. And you just really quickly just do a little slice, open that up a little bit. That will speed that process up somewhat. Again, some people do roast these things. Some people dehydrate them a little bit to get a little bit more of that concentrated flavor. Really easy to do. I can do all of these and then just pour the vodka over it. All right, my cayenne peppers are now cut and ready for the pouring. It's a 1-to-1 ratio when you're talking about fresh product. So it's real easy. All you have to do is just simply submerge those peppers in the water. It's funny, the only time we ever use alcohol or buy it when we go to the liquor store is for our tinctures. And one time Heidi had gone and asked, and the guy had never even heard of a tincture before. So I guess we were trailblazers in that little bit of it for him. But yeah, this is it. This is all you do. You just make sure that's submerged, and you cover it with that cap, and that will get waterlogged, and it tends to sink. You can, if you want, and I did it with this one, put a little spring or a weight or something in there to hold that under the liquid if you want. But in this case, it will be fine just like this. Now, let's talk a little bit about the powder, because that's kind of important. If you're using powder for your tincture, the ratios are a little different. It's not just merely submerging the product 1-to-1 in the water. You want to use about a 5-to-1 ratio, because this will mix in with the alcohol. And it is really concentrated and strong and dry, so there's not a lot of extra in there. It's all capsaicin, right? So 5-to-1 ratio, that's 5 parts of the alcohol to 1 part of your cayenne powder. I do know that if you're sensitive to alcohol or have some sort of a prohibition to alcohol, that you can use vinegar. And so I would check to see what the recipes are for using a tincture and making it with vinegar. Cayenne tincture is so easy to take. We use a brown or amber dropper bottle. Brown and amber dropper bottles are really good for preservation of tinctures. And so if you can find one of those, you can use that. And you can see this liquid is nice and kind of an amber brown color. I use about a half a dropper full, which is, a dozen or so drops. I don't have to be exact anymore because I've taken this for quite a long time. But I have about 12 ounces of water there, and I just pour that dropper right into that. You can swish it around a little bit. And again, water is fine. You can do it with juice or a smoothie or anything else. And when you drink it, you have that little bit of spice in there. It definitely gets to the back of your throat, but it's super good. If you do that once or twice a day, maybe in the morning and the evening, you'll see the benefits of circulation, of metabolism, of heart health, of congestion, all of the different things that make cayenne a superstar.